we'll need to know what is the township willing to commit to. So that goes into the grant proposal or the community contributions proposal specifically for Essentia. But, and then, for Essentia Health, if it's anything over $25,000, we need to submit a letter of intent first. And that would then be a determining factor whether or not, you know, they could support something larger than that. But there's plenty of opportunities for funding, breaking things down into buy a window, buy a bench, some of those different things. But we do need to know basically, do we have the infrastructure and do we have the commitment from the township to support at least a basic structure?
So, I mean, I see we have $98,000 in the general capital projects. And, I mean, because we also use that for other things, we can't just promise 98,000. So
you could.
Do we need to hold some of that back for in case, you know, we need to replace a water heater or something like that, or?
Well, that would come out of buildings.
Okay. So is there anything else that we need to hold on to this capital fund for, or can we just tell funders that, we're gonna contribute that?
Well, my input on that is that our building fund, some of our funds, is like we need to look at the whole fund structure and look at, you know, how we get some of these numbers to come back to balance. You know, and it's gonna take some time if we don't transfer funds. So just to say, well, we have this much money in capital funds, capital improvements, and take all that money out, I don't know if it's financially responsible. And I guess I wouldn't do that if it was my money, but, I know that that's come up a couple times on funding. They said, well, do you have anything that says this is how much your township's putting up? So I don't know if we have to make it, I don't think we can make something tonight, but we need to think, and then with the budget, come up with, say, okay, this is what we have, you know, inputted. Maybe there's local residents, we'll go ahead and visit with all the local residents that are in trades and say, is there anything you wanna put up anything, or donate some time, and then work that way, and then come back with a resolution that says, you know what, if we put up $50,000, does that work? Or do we look at next year, do the $50,000 now, and then maybe money for next year, you say, you know, 10 grand or 20 grand. So that's just kind of.
Yeah, I did have a question, Jessica, is the first, levy or the dollars, is that reflected for the, in the 98,000, or is
Diane, is there any dollar number that you think would be appropriate to show people, like 50,000 or 75?
for the cost of buildings?
Well, no, to show a potential investor that that's what we are going to give up right away.
I would say 50%.
50% of the building or 50% of what we have?
50% of the building, which I would say is around, right now it's probably 200 to 250,000. With, if you built in furniture, luxury equipment, that type of thing, which is less than what we had initially projected.
That 200,000, now, if you're going to Essentia, I believe you can take the 200,000, you could say, the township put up 50, electrical contractor's gonna do it for $5,000, wire it, you know, but the value is 15,000, so we got that down. You can take some of them pieces, as long as it meets within the legal bidding process, and then you can, so they can actually donate some of their time. So even if there's any material that's donated by a concrete supplier, and so we can take all those into account for the master budget at the end. These are some comments I've been getting from some of the tradespeople that they'd be willing to do something like that.
Okay.
To make it happen, so. There's some math questions I have with that we're gonna have to make sure we're we're dealing with, but Duluth Township ended up doing something similar to this too. It kinda drug out, and I don't wanna drag out, I'd rather have it all where we can just start and go, not this 2-year process, once we start building.
We're already 2 years in it.
No, once we start digging,
Well, right.
yeah, the building's sitting there for quite a while, and so.
No, it doesn't look like I split out the first, county levy, so it'd be, I don't remember what the levy was off the top of my head, but it'd be roughly 50% of that would go into the 98,000.
So that would be, so then technically we have more in capital improvement if we were allocating that to the respective funds.
But then, you know, just like Steve said, I would caution saying we have that much only because we have giant deficits in other areas, so we should probably look at evening those out, not necessarily taking it from capital improvement, but look at making sure we actually have the physical funds, and they look like it on paper and details, but in our bank account, that's a different.
And the other question is, have we explored the fair market value? I mean, part of this is saving money going forward by having a newer structure, a more efficient structure, combined structure with recycling, mining shop, and potential rental opportunities from an income revenue perspective. So have we looked at the fair market value of what some of our current warming shop might look like, or recycling garage? I mean, maybe not significant dollars, but they're dollars. And have we, I don't know, anybody has suggestion on how we would get to that number? It would, I mean, we need to sell the, I assume we would sell the ownership.
Yeah, some of the information I got on that is, if someone wants to give us a donation to take it, it'd be great, but otherwise, I don't know if whether someone would buy it, it's because of the requirements to move something in St. Louis County right now. The building down the road is getting harder and harder. So,
So zero.
just that kind of a negative thing up there, how we gonna get it there. People are still moving stuff, but it's getting, they don't want anything over 14.6 right now. Going down the road, but.
Once upon a time, there was somebody interested in using it as a deer truck for the deer hunting.
Yeah, if we could find someone, I mean, I think we can take a thought, someone can take it, or donate some money. It'd be nice to see $5,000 for it, but I don't know how much you need with that, with the cost they have to spend to move it. Alright,
Any other comments or suggestions? I think it would be certainly valuable for the township to have a visible investment into this property and to have an accessible and safe environment for the recreation programs.
And do you need the board to pass a resolution to set aside that money?
Well, at some point we'll need to, because when you request for funds, the party that you're requesting
Matching
wants to know where is the rest of the money coming from. Because if it looks like it's not going to be a successful project, then there's not a desire to have dollars. And further, nobody wants to be the sole funder, so, and I think it has been a township initiative, so we've levied money every year for last, in my experience anyway, last 12 years. So I think,
So is the
the
money
time is
that's,
now.
the money that's in the capital, general capital projects, is that money that we've levied specifically for this project?
Well, we
It's like
levied,
earmarked?
yeah, in my experience anyway, it was we levied under that fund, and then we had designated $245,000 of American Rescue dollars. But those dollars are no longer in play. So that was good or bad, I guess we should. So anyway, I guess we'll continue to work with Steve and anybody else that wants to be part of the discussion on the budget and, get hopefully a number that we can use and then both use but also live with. And, and then next month I'll draft a letter of intent to be more than $25,000 to Central. Otherwise, furniture, fixture, equipment is always something that people like to support too, so the benches, the chairs, whatever.
And like Steve was saying, if we have tradespeople who are saying, I will donate, it adds up pretty fast, $10,000, $20,000 worth of labor and parts or something like that.
So they have to do we understood that,
Right.
and I gotta follow up with Matt again, basically, if the budget to do the concrete was $20,000, you basically say, I will provide $10,000 of the $20,000 towards the project.
Right.
That'd be basically your credit. So you can't, because it's a public building, it gets weird with the whole bidding process, and that's where you hire a general contractor versus the township does it, and them are all the pieces that have to be, make sure we do everything right.
Well, those kinds of things, like, count as the matching funds that we're getting.
Yeah. So
$20,000.
that $10,000
Yeah.
would count. And that's one of the questions when you
Yeah.
ask for grants, they ask,
Yeah.
there's some questions in there.
Mhm.
One estimate that I would like just to do the research on this project was to understand from a local building company what it would look like just to put the white box up. And that would be with the assumption the site is prepared and there's a concrete slab to put it on. So using the same schematic that we've used in all of our discussions with the township and others. So that came back at, including labor, was $117,000. So, starting there, then we would need to finish the inside with light fixtures, heat, some of those different things, electrical work things. So that's where the opportunity to start looking at some of the individuals in the township that have been part of the planning committee that also have an interest in being part of the process. What feasibly can they offer? And what would that look like from a supply expense type contribution? Both the actual cost, because you might have to buy the product and somebody else donates the labor. But that all becomes in kind and can be reflected as an in-kind contribution on behalf of the township.
As far as us coming up with a amount of money that we're willing to commit and say, this is what we're putting this year, this is set aside. I would, work with Jessica, to make sure that, because, you look, like you say, you look at the rest of the budget and there's a lot of things that are underwater, and, want to make sure that those things are covered before we commit another big chunk of money somewhere else.
Any further discussion? Do we need to make a motion? No motion? Wait till next month?
I mean, the number I would have is somewhere around 50,000 just to put it in there, but I just, it's, you don't know what all your costs are gonna be, and I do feel like, the zoning thing, and I'll bring that back up next year, but that is gonna be an expense, and I don't really know where that's gonna pass, I don't know what the township's gonna be, but I just was in last year's annual meeting for the funding and trying to get money and the amount to raise taxes, and I just, a lot of that just had a lot of mixed feelings, I guess I do, and the whole thing, what we do on some of this, it'd be nice to do it, I would love to have it for them, but I also feel like we need to have some grant money that's, a couple people need to start, if we can get a couple people to donate, then I think we get the ball rolling, but I do
let's throw some, call seed money, commit some seed money, and jump in on here too, please. If that's gonna help, I guess 25,000 is something that we could put that way.
Well, we can draw a resolution up for next month, and we can come up with a dollar amount. And if we don't agree on a dollar amount, then maybe we'll have a resolution for next meeting to vote on if it's something we want to move forward with.
Right, and Diane did say she'd have a more developed budget idea for us next month.
Yeah, we'll have a folder on the whole thing and some items, but again, we talk about how far to get it to, but again, I like to see it get done because we're eliminating some buildings when we start, so.
Right, and I guess I agree with you on the dollar amount you just brought up, 50,000. That was kind of circling in my mind when I asked Diane if she had a number, and she comes up with 50% of 250,000. I was like, oh, I know 50,000 isn't worth much.
But even when you write the grants, you actually have to put on there how much money is allocated, and I felt kind of weird putting in numbers, we never got those grants, because I don't know, it'd just be easier to go put 50 grand if we had a resolution too, or 25, so.
And it's not like it's gonna go anywhere right away.
No, it's kind of, we can just put it in the money market if we want to, or whatever, we can do whatever we want. It just has to be a document that's approved here and assigned to them.
So maybe for next meeting, we can have the resolution ready to go, and with input from Jessica and you guys, we can agree on the number and fill in the blank and pass the resolution next month.
Okay.
That works for me.
Just a little bit more work for Angie, that's all.
You guys will have the resolution ready enough, I'll just make copies.
Probably not.
That's it for capital improvement.
Resolution.
We move on to clerk's report.
Okay, clerk's report. The 20-acre parcel, 293 Tisher Road, just before Lavis. That is where somebody is interested in. Now, that's we do have two parcels, so I looked it up. I looked it up the other day because it seemed like a lot. But that's where the individual wants to bow hunt. No, not bow hunt, hunt. So you guys need to make a decision so I can, if you're gonna allow anybody to hunt on our land.
No.
Oh,
I'm gonna say no as well.
I think it's too big of a liability. And it's public, I mean, it's,
They're in there bringing wood and whatever, if they did, it wasn't allowed to be bow hunt only, but then that's just, it's gonna open up some doors.
you can still follow with deer stand bow hunting and have them fly. That would be my opinion. So,
okay,
I can say no.
moving right along. The school, Lakewood School, every year they have us sign, a permission letter stating that they can use